Absolutely. I agree 100%. And
Told me I was nuts, and now they're calling me and asking me advice. Like, what does this mean? What's happening to me? I'm hearing voices. I ran into a guy. And it's crazy because I'm in a town, small Mexican town, right on the water. So I walked down to where the shrimp boats are, and I ran into this guy named David, and he was selling coconuts. Right. So 100 pesos, I get a coconut, I get to eat the meat, and we start talking, and I went a couple days in a row, and then he says to me, what do you do? And I said, well, it's kind of hard to explain, what I do. So I said, I do a podcast. And so I got the phone out and I showed him, I just said this, because he couldn't understand what I was saying, and my Spanish wasn't quite good enough to explain it. So he says to me, uh, you know what happened to me? I went to see a curandera, which is a white witch. This mind control thing is really the big subject here, right?
Yeah.
What I'm noticing recently is how subtle these things are. You hear a lot of people this year, they talk about, I got into this space of like, why did I say that? Why do I do that? Well, just go back to our upbringing. This was mind control. Mind control was standardized schooling. So we were
Yeah.
conditioned to follow orders and basically suppress our creativity. Okay. So what does that turn into?
The issue with the over feminization of mental health is then you open the door to people like Andrew Tate and those very aggressive, that people will call them masculine. It's actually what it is a pole of masculine. And by feminizing stuff, you open that. And the issue with those type of people is there's a half truth in what they say. And that half truth then resonates on a certain chord to unbalanced men, particularly young men, who then gravitate towards that because they want a bit of that. And they don't realize that well, what is actually being presented is again an imbalance.
He said revenge is just the perpetuating of the old program. To see the human with love rather than vengeance, that is the second coming in all in like second coming, uppercase S and C. That is the task.
He said, yes, this time it's not the one, it's the many. That's the impact of why he let himself be executed. It was part of the plan to take the truth of who we are into our consciousness so that it could erupt at the right time when this frequency hit. We're going to wake up to the truth of who we are. Why are you so amazed? This is who you are. That's all the Nazarene was about. That's why religion came in and shut it down so hard. What you're seeing now is just the end game.
In our lifetimes, not in a couple of 100 years, in the next 2 years.
So,
how many times have you died since?
since when? 4 years ago?
2021.
Oh, geez, man. I don't even know. It's been a crazy ride. I know that.
One of the science, when we speak quantum mechanics and quantum physics, we know that when you quantum jump, when you are actually on a new path, there is a location move. And everybody seems to be on the move. They're starting to align to their ley lines and where they're supposed to be for the new Earth collective. And it's a beautiful thing, but at the same time, it's, I've written it. It's beautiful. It's heaven and it's hell. You never know what you're gonna. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get that day. Are you gonna be crying all day and just completely, oh my goodness, because you're transmuting for the collective, or are you, singing songs and up.
One thing I want to point out is the example you gave about this sage, this seer that you're cohabitating with. I think that's what I'm getting, and that yet they are this, omniscient reflection of the conduit of the universal, and at the same time it's a cantankerous old lady. I think
or very funny and lovely at the other moment. She got both, the whole bandwidth.
What I'm saying is that there isn't part of that fluffy love and light, and I'm not throwing shade on anyone. We're all evolving. Is this whole I can only be in an environment of nirvana? Well, that's something we've already had coming into this game. We've been there, done that. and dusted it off many times. This is a higher remix. This is a new evolution, whatever you want to call it, experiment, and it comes in the present moment, and it comes with stepping in. One thing I want to point out is
absolutely, I agree 100%. And so the inner work, like I will speak for myself, but I see this in many other people that I know, sisters mostly. It's to anchor yourself so deeply in your center that you move with 100% certainty in the unknown. With no evidence, you move with certainty. Your nervous system is calm and you act like a tuning fork for everyone around you because your signal is so strong, so coherent. So that's one part.
I may have been a little tired or whatever, and I told him to go fuck off, and I thought, well, let me just get my stuff and go. So I started to walk back to the town, and he's clocking me. I get on one side of the street, he gets on the other side of the street, and I'm the old Todd from way back is coming out. I'm like, I want to go say something to this guy. I might punch him. No, I'm thinking this. I'm not actually going to do it, but I felt that, and I stopped and I stared at him and I just watched him while I let this play out, and eventually he went on his way. Now the interesting thing was, I was analyzing myself, and I think that speaks to what we're talking about in general and how the world's changed this year, and many of us are in this type of thought, this internal dialogue where we're holding ourselves accountable and being responsible. So I end up that happens, and I'm walking a bit later. I think it was the next.
This was part of this renewal, that the energy that she said to me, New Zealanders, guy said to me, New Zealanders are the most somnambulistic people in the world. And I'm like, what does that mean? And I looked it up and I'm like, oh my God, are
What does
we?
it mean? What's the
It
word? And
means
what is
sleepwalking, somnambulistic.
sleepwalking?
Yeah. Yeah. So she said New Zealanders were asleep. We were the most dreamy asleep people on the planet. And that when New Zealanders wake up, when New Zealanders stand up, the rest of the world will be able to. So it was like there's something about, I think it's really related to the fact that, we are known as the land of first light.
That's
Because
what I
apart from
get.
Antarctica, we see the light first. So I think it's to do with that. But that was how she showed it to me, that she said
Wow.
New Zealanders are the most somnambulistic people in the world, and when New Zealanders wake up, the rest of the world can awaken. And it's like this wash of.
Imagine Neptune in this last sign says everything is gotta go that don't belong for all of you folk. And that's why I really feel like, even just me as someone that was in law formerly, like so many of us changed careers, left like big careers, and we just left. Like there was just something in our lives, something happened, something initiated us into this process. And that really became very strongly out there in the last 14, 15 years of Neptune being in Pisces. And Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. Pisces is the finisher guy. Pisces is encompassing all. It's extremely intuitive. They are also lots of times artists, writers, people that use their imagination. You know what I'm saying? A very ethereal, very watery sign.
Bien mieux qu'être mal accompagné.
When I put out the word to say, hey, who wants to do a show? And I didn't know who you were. And the only picture you have on social media is you playing the bass. So you can't see your face. But yeah, that was a very important time, I think, you know. It was a
Very.
very important time.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that. And, you know, for me, it's like everything that is presented to me as a, like, say, a memory or a past life or a situation in this incarnation where you start to get, you know, a greater awareness of what was really going on outside of your emotions and the other person's emotions, etc. But like the intelligence is moving so quickly that even today, like last night, I went through 14 hours, dude, straight, 14 straight, sleeping. And I break out like
Wow.
around my third eye, you know, and sometimes it expands a little bit. This went all the way up my scalp, all the way down to my cheeks, to my beard and my mustache. And so
Wow.
I was like, what? So I just threw myself into my work. I did it like, you know, 3 or 4 hours of work. And then I went for a walk in the town. I thought, oh my God, I feel like I'm, you know, and all this information's coming in. And then I thought to myself, oh shit, I'm doing a show with Gareth. And I went, okay,
All right.
it's all connected. And then my body, and I have to say this because you're going to do 97% of the talking, and that's the way it should be, because I want to hear everything you have to say, bro. But my body came on and located this space beneath anything I've been in the lower spine, in the physical body, so I guess you could say in the lower chakras, to a point that felt so sensitive and so powerful at the same time. And I know it's masculine. For myself, anyway. I'm not trying to convince you or anybody else, but so I recognize the power of this episode, and I really feel like it's the highest potential of anything I've ever done online. So thank
Wow.
you for showing up, brother. There's so much to talk about. You went into the ICU for 3 days. It's a crazy thing. Katie Kiss, bless you, Katie Kiss. Shout out, Katie Kiss, and your raw authenticity. I love the chemistry, the wild chemistry that y'all have every week, and they'll be back next week at this time. But you know,
Katie is the best.
Katie's Katie, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like something's going down today, and I feel like that you know what happened, because I didn't know what happened, and for some reason that week, that early week of the solstice, I don't know what day it was on, but it was like there's a couple of shows, 3 shows we've been doing every week for months, and I was told stop. So the next week it's coming up, and you're about to come on, even though you've had some seizures. And then I said, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like, I need to be in silence and isolation. And so the next thing I know is I get a message from Katie on my text. And it said, Gareth has been having consecutive grand mal seizures, and they've induced a coma to stop them. And as soon as I got it, this is what happened. I knew you were about to go through 3 days, because I had been told for myself after the solstice, you're going to go through 3 days of darkness. And it was like pure masculine, right? And so when I heard that in my multidimensional, as all of us are coming into a wider space of multidimensional consciousness, I was able to kind of like take that on. And I told her, I wrote to her, I said, hey, don't worry about it. He's going to go through these 3 days. He's doing the work, and it's going to be all right, right? And so that's what happened. And then I heard basically the days were pretty much aligned. Not that they have to be, but
Yeah.
something huge happened at the, even I know it's a Gregorian calendar. I know that's bullshit, but what's not? What
Well,
calendar?
yes,
What
exactly.
calendar before it was the one that said it was the all end all cure all, right? But my point is that yeah, there is something to the story that we're writing, and your story for me. What I really find intriguing and I admire is the fact that we're writing a story. We're writing it. It's not
Yeah.
subjected or secondary to some narrative. And even that part of the universe which has revealed itself to each and every one of us, Tom, God, Mother Goddess, whatever you want to call it, never ask you to give up your sovereignty. And so that's what I love about your story, brother. Wherever you want to start, thank you so much. I'll talk at the end. You can keep going from here, and maybe I'll plug in a question here and there. Thank you for showing up, bro, in all respects.
Thank you. Thanks for the forum too, Todd. Really great timing and yeah, awesome. And I think Katie's keeping an eye on the chat too, because I think some people had some questions about particularly like the Sphinx and this compression wave or energy wave I saw and kind of how it all links up. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a massive time. And the thing, there's so many elements of my life that are all starting to connect up now. And that tells me a lot about where we're at, a huge amount. And so the coma was about 3.5 days, and I started having grand mal seizures, like I said, so they couldn't shut them down. Like the anti-seizure meds they use, which are injections, I believe, weren't working. So they put me into an induced coma just to shut the brain activity down enough. And that was all part of it. One of the things the Arcturians told me back in about 2018, I believe it was they came in randomly. I think I was even walking down a street, and it was really powerful. And they really wanted me to remember this. They said all the lines of connection connecting them to you also connect you to them being those of the interference. So all of these strategies, particularly mind control, frequency weapons, biological warfare, you name it, history, time, everything they've used to kind of keep us in a holding pattern, they're lines of connection that connect their beingness with ours. And that's all come to a head. And so the last 2-year period, I believe 2.5-year period, the Palladians called it the frequency wars. So that implies that they have frequency weapons. But well, what's the weapon that's coming back at them? Well, that's us. And the transition wave that's been playing out on the planet and what the human race was put together to receive in the first place and take on and project out. As our frequency is going up, they're having to go to town to keep us shut down. And that's been the name of the game the entire time. One of the things Tom God told me back in 97 was that he described their intention. He said, well, what are they doing all this for? He said, they're looking for a way to make the transition with you, which is this period in history we're going through now. It was always going to happen. And they were trying to figure out a way, keep us in a holding pattern, which Tom called the bottlenecking of souls, which is this karmic thing, the mind control. It keeps us stuck in polarity, which is conflict. So we keep on throwing stones and arrows and bullets at each other, thinking the other person's the problem, when really there's this third party called those of the interference that have always stayed hidden in the background behind the control system they've put together. Now, that control system fundamentally is centralization of power, and a big problem with that, and this is the problem they've got, is if you lose control of the system, you're cornered by it. You're in the center. So that's what's been playing out, and that's what's happened. So now all these lines of connection, everything they're throwing at us, because the rate of waking up is happening exponentially, everything.
Ana ke wa in ma ko shwa in o ka te chwe. Tin wa ka shme na wi ko sha na wi ko sha na wi ko sha te ma ko a te wa she. In wa ka te me o te ka shi.
Codes are being released in the language of light, all the different lineages. It's the tone, it's the sound, it's the vibration that awakens this divine original blueprint, sacred lineages, our cosmic family, our soul family, Ikitai, soul in the earth, and the crystals within the earth, and the crystals within our own being. This all awakens in these tonal, vibrational language of the soul. We remember it in a different way, the place from which we come from, the light of source, for the many places, dimensions, planets, light. We have all been called to remember and awaken the light within humanity and the restoration of the divine original blueprint and the merging divine connections of the soul source of dimensions, timeless, time-space, of the heart, soul, light of Creator within all.
Aranto agarisha mirutu iwanandele tu diaganandele ketu agarandele dejana yarandele kesu tu yarantu agaya anishande yarandele ketu aisha tanandu ayan yarantu agarandele tirishu tu yananan. These are the harmonic sound foundational tones of the Blu-ray consciousness. Yarandu guru yarandu keya, ilangan nele kere keyana, ilangan nele kere desutu ya keya, yan yarandu ayanan nele keya nande, ilandu guru kutu ya anisyatanan nele, nilandu ayanan nele keyana, yayetu hakayanan nele ketu, nilangan nele keya, ilandu yaran nele keya. Irandu yadaran, irandandele kere shutu yayana, irandandele kere shutu hayana.
What got you know to get one again, what get the musket watch, and you get one day, and you get what I want to watch to put him on the air, what you spend. And if you don't put a cash to put him in the college to do it, and if you don't get more, I get to what to put money in the way, in up to put us to get coach to it. And if you don't watch to do him in the good, should be got to do it, you know, should be the choice to be, and you should depending on the patch to which you should be, and you get the cash to put him on the good to get patch to the and you get to the edge to get to know my coach to do it, and you put out the coach to ask you to be.
Got a little soul speak on the ascension that we all share, this unveiling, this apocalypse. You know, all this discussion of what is reality, conspiracy, heresy, truth that's stranger than fiction. Doesn't get any better than this. It's not just time to bring on the apocalypse, it's time to start riding it. It's not going to hurt us. Because one thing's for sure, in our conscious mind and even in our subconscious, if that's what you want to call it, we have always survived. And the reason for that is because we never die. So when it comes to ascension, what else is there to talk about? This ascension, unveiling, is not complicated. It's just a microcosm of the state of our being from any point from this present moment to any point in our past. And in regard to the past, now we can look back to see, to awaken without the element of linear time. Yeah. Because the wisdom still comes. Because the universe is never late. That means we can take from our past the powerful wisdom of the eternal moments, seen when we unveil the hurts and the blame given and received. You know, we've reached a point where forgiveness will cease to exist. Because perfection did not create forgiveness, but as a path to a higher perfection, a new reflection of itself, of ourselves. Yeah, it's true. It's just not necessary forgiveness, and neither is earth love. So we can stop chasing both right now and all the false securities and failed searches that go with the lofty goals of a moral world. Both the things that they put beyond our reach and the reasons they gave us for not being able to reach them. It's time to re-enter the fold of the immortal, the fold of the I Am soul.
Good morning. This morning I'm going to speak to you about truth and living one's truth. Because with all these energies now being released, we are being brought back to the deepest truth within. Not only living our truth, but also speaking our truth and standing in our truth, which is what a true master does. You know, we have in past lives so often been persecuted for standing in our truth and also for speaking our truth. And all these things are coming up now as a white flame has been released, but also as the throat chakra is being highlighted. And in the Archangel Michael is in charge of the throat chakra. And what is more important now is that a lot of times we have to understand that the throat chakra is now connected to the heart and the higher heart and also the higher throat, which works with the altar major, which is a chakra which is just here behind in the cranium area of your neck. Now, these all work together as one power center with the third eye and crown, but also with your solar plexus and the navel chakra, which sits just right underneath your belly button. The center is all awakened now with your sacral center and the upper chakras, which are outside your head. But with this, as the communication centers open, as the transmitting centers open, which are the higher transmitters which come through, and your spine, this is all activating the throat in a higher degree, the higher throat center. There is such an amazing time now where we are asked to go deeply into what truth really is and what our truth is, not what other people's truth is, not what anybody else is broadcasting, even me, but to go deeply in your heart and say, is this the path of truth for me? Am I living in my truth? Am I speaking my truth? Am I transmitting the truth? Now, this is something which often comes up. And this morning, this came up with me in a greater degree. I have been invited to something, and I have been there in the past. But in the meantime, in these last few years, I've shifted immensely. I'm not the same person I was a few years ago. And as this call is persistent for me to react, and my true gut feeling was always saying no. I have transcended this. It's not my path anymore because I'm on a different path now. Yet all paths in the end come to one path. But at this moment in my journey, that is not my path anymore. But as it happens, you know, you will always have this tinge of, am I doing the right thing? Am I saying the right thing? Am I being correct in this? The only way to discern that is to go deeply into your heart center and feel into your heart center. Your heart center is there connected to the solar plexus. And that's your gut feeling. With the navel chakra, your gut feeling, is this right or not? In your heart of hearts, you will always know the truth and you will recognize the truth. And sometimes if I'm still not quite sure if that is the truth, then I will call in my higher guidance and I'll say, just give me a sign or just give me clarity about it.
We are already gathering because I feel so strongly, and I did a live today on Facebook in Slovenian, and I was talking about I feel the change is coming. I feel the pressure is building up and it's just gonna like you know, as the top of the pot just flies off.
We know that probably around the time COVID hit, time started to do some weird stuff, and it's just gotten weirder and weirder and weirder, and space is now following. So that's another element of this dimension that won't be on this new plane, on this new grid, is the stress and the pressure and the programming of the concept of time and space. You know, I think this is the leap that we're really going to get into, I feel, soon.
In that process, I discovered that there was two energies in me. There was my brain, and there was my heart. And I discovered that my heart was a teacher and it wanted to teach me lots of things. So I started to listen, and my heart started to teach me about the body and the brain, mainly the brain. And when we understand the brain, we understand how reality works. So I started to learn about consciousness, basically. My heart started to teach me, like I already knew it, my heart knew, but my mind had to become the student, and I had to learn an enormous amount. But in that journey, it's been because there's been forces that haven't wanted me to learn.
This is why I'm saying we are reframing mythos now, because there's a lot of malarkey being fed within the mythos. And what is the mythical realms? It's the upper 4D. And we are fully anchoring into that now and removing the netting and the hijacking and the looping mechanisms and the hijacking from the lower astral 4D. And so it is imperative that we, you know, mythos isn't set in stone. It's fluid. Everything's fluid with this according to the consciousness. So we are reframing the mythos now. And this is another thing that is a game changer, you know, galactically and cosmically. You know, we are getting to rewrite the stories through our blood song and our spin paths. That is having a game changer effect. Everyone and everything is being changed up now through octavating, going up the spiral of evolution, not revolving with the same old stories. Being able to octavate now with our frequencies and hold the frequencies that create the spin paths in the creatrix pattern of what we are able to, you know, just upload and download simultaneously.
We don't have a choice in this thing. And I think a lot of us are going towards the light, kicking and screaming and trying to like hold on to, you know, this identities we've developed because we're empathic and basically we're here, I think, to, you know, to cross through that little ring of fire.
We don't have to focus on the outside. There is a lot of darkness on the outside of us, but we just have to focus on ourselves because we're so powerful. You actually have the universe within you. And the more you heal yourself, the more that comes through into the outer reality, and you change the
We are the real fucking deal. And I'm tired of holding back. It's time. And I think a lot of people are feeling the same thing, although they may not be as crazy as me to come out here and do something like this.
Totally. And I mean, you know, I have to say this to people, like, especially Americans, like American people, It's like the people in Burma don't know what's going on in your country, and they don't really give a shit, and they're really happy. They're like one of the most joyous places on the planet, right? And so it's like we really have to look at what consciousness is, right? And
for me, I am meeting magical people anytime I go out into the world right now. I'm meeting someone magical that feels like a long lost sister, a long lost brother, a long lost friend, right? And so I feel like it's all this culmination of, the more you are working toward becoming your most authentic self, the more you are attracting what is authentically.
This period is the real thing. I think it's becoming easier now because everything that we thought was reality is folding. none of it's holding water anymore. So it seems to be a very pivotal time. Specifically, he spoke of this time from this past equinox into next year, like into the first equinox of next year in March. Like this period is the real thing. You mentioned the body, like we talked for many years about we're going to transform into a light body as part of this, and you better lighten up, and
However, it's time for us to learn what lies on the other side of our comfort zone. Because when you allow yourself to show up in a bigger group that you know is safe, then you can learn, you can experience what it means to be held in such a big group. And then you can relax, and then you can land softly in your power, you can feel seen, and you can know that you are not here to walk alone. This was never the thing. To walk alone was part of the path, yes, because you had to stabilize yourself in your power, in your knowing. However, I really feel so strongly that this wave that is coming now is going to be a collective wave. It's going to be many of us walking together, shoulder by shoulder, like holding each other. So feeling safer in taking that step, because now we were just like, I go alone, and then I fall, and then I pick myself up. And I think now the time has come, but we need to be courageous enough to step into that group consciousness, let's say. Somebody else will also pick us up when we fall.
I put the key in, I pushed play, and fucking Straight Outta Compton came on. And I was like, oh, something's gonna happen. But that night, that happened, what you just mentioned earlier.
What year was that?
That was 2012. No, dude, that was 2011. That was 14 years ago. Probably like a month. Yeah, no, dude, that was probably about a month ago, 14 years ago. Right after my birthday. You know what? I take that back. That was about right now, because I'm reliving what was happening at the time. But anyway, so what happened was I got out of the car. I danced for a little bit to NWA and Ice Cube, crazy motherfucking name Ice Cube. All that was playing, DJ Ren and all that. And so I got out and I started walking across. I walked across the parking lot into the soccer field, and it's dark. There's a lot of clouds in the dark night sky. The wind's just fucking like pushing right against me. It's like pretty fast. I'd say probably 10 miles an hour or something like that. And as I'm walking through the soccer field, I see this white circle appear on my lower peripheral, like on the surface of the soccer field. And I thought, what the hell is that? And I'm pumped, and and I'm in it. I'm aligned, and I just kept walking. But obviously I'm conscious of it. And as I walk into the circle, the fucking wind stops. Totally stops. And I walk into the center of it, and I see like this geomantic dome. Like, I didn't understand what the hell that was. Maybe it was a ship. I have no fucking idea. So I thought for a second to stay there, and then I thought, no, I'm going to check this shit out. So I walked further to the other side of it and took one step out on the other side of the circle, and the fucking wind came back on. So I was like, oh, I think I better go back in. So I went back in the center, and I just kneeled down, and there was no words. It was just like a lot of tones and colors and geometry, and it took 4 or 5 minutes, and a bunch of stuff happened after that. But that was like that's what started it all. But people have had these kind of experiences all over the world, and they're having them more and more, and they're remembering the ones they had because some part of us said we had to forget about it. But you know what? This is our imagination. This is where creation starts to bring everything into the same relation. Getting crazy is getting stoned, being pious, being pure, it's all the same thing. We all creating, imaginating intuitively, creating creation's latest creation. Yeah. All right. I'll hand it over now.
Yeah. It's that present moment flowing. Open up the door and know that as you do walk across the field, like there is something here, something that could happen, something that could show you something that is clear, and you do steer in the direction that your soul to tell you to go, the place that you knew that you should walk on your road, like in your life, but also in this moment, in this night. I was told to be in this place, in this time. And as life becomes more ceremony, you know that you align, like every single day it is divine, like you could just drop up out of your mind and see that everything is happening, and it is intertwined with your deepest intentions for this ascension, but also the waves that are blending of other people's intentions, like your ancestry, but also like the codes of humanity. People praying to God are saying, could this happen, please? Hey, for many thousands of years, and then you are just a being who could do it in this moment. And you know, there are the people who are dripping in the codes who are doing it too, but we all come together in a way. We are making this move and we are making this groove. So it is not to think it's all coming through you. Just know that the sequence is due. It's time. Time for yourself to align. A time for yourself just to shine. Working with God intertwined with every single piece of us. We feel like every single part of this rhyme and every single part of this world is opening up. It's like we're riding a bike because we know exactly what to do when we do move with that love. That's what's up.